Hello. Welcome back to the book club. We're back again. Another month, another book club, another, a set of homework that's required in. Have you done it? Have you watched your set reading? I know you haven't, but it's fine. You can listen anyway. I'm Brooke, and I'm joined by Zerion Lachlan. And we're going to be discussing the short anime series Time of Eve, which I watched on Crunchyroll.
Yes, and we did watch it.
Nice!
Well, we watched the movie compilation, which is the same exact.
Okay, so I think it might have been better for me to watch the movie compilation, mostly because at the end of every episode... So you guys wouldn't have heard the Sims music, right?
I guess
oh my
not,
god.
no.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Crunchyroll and find you an episode so you can listen to that fucking ED music. It's the most Sims ass shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, it just cut between the episodes the way it's compiled for the movie release.
Relatively naturally.
I think it also added a prologue and an epilogue that I don't think the Crunchyroll version had.
There was a small epilogue. It was the either the mother or the sister putting a flower in the robot's hair was the epilogue in the anime.
We got a more extensive epilogue.
So we're looking for the ED here, right?
Yeah, it's not a full ED. It's more like an outro theme. There's not really an OP or an ED here, but it's definitely like Sims music plays at the end of every episode, and I just lost my shit.
Oh my god.
I just lost my shit every
god.
time.
I'm getting to it. Oh. Yeah.
Like, literally, my notes is, what the fuck is this Sims ass music, dog?
Yeah, we didn't hear this.
Wouldn't quite fit, the theatrical tone of the film edition.
Okay, so right off the back, I'm just gonna say, like, I was not impressed with this anime. Like, yeah.
I gave it a 7. I like it.
I think I'd give it a 5.
I'd say 7's right around where I'd have it as well. Maybe like upper end of 7, but I don't think it's quite an 8.
I just think everything about it just feels so clunky and clumsy and I don't know. I just don't feel like it. There's one thing that I'm going to talk about that I really liked in this anime, and everything else I felt was kind of just. Yeah, I just felt like it was messy. Like, everything from the visuals to the editing to the music to the writing to the dialogue, just everything was messy and not.
Then I guess the best place to start then would be the director of this ONA turned film, Yasuhiro Yoshiura, who most of his work has been on anime short films. And he's got a pretty idiosyncratic and distinctive style. Time of Eve is probably his most well-known work, and then the next one would probably be Patama Inverted, just because that's like his big theatrical film thing, which, it feels very much like they tried to hook this sort of indie director guy up with like a generic action.
He's listed as the creator.
Film.
He's listed as the creator, not just like the director. So I think he might have.
Or maybe it feels like an indie director trying to take on a generic action adventure anime film, something like that.
So
before that, I think he was known for Pale Cocoon.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any of these.
But he does these more sort of mechanical in atmosphere. And tone, slower paced, sort of contemplative anime most of the time.
I wouldn't say I particularly had any issues with the pacing. It actually kind of felt kind of episodic, which I think maybe suited the episode format better. Like, kind of every episode was focused on a different character or set of characters. But yeah, I don't know how much of it was the actual film, but I think a lot of it was Crunchyroll's player just being really bad for me today, but a lot of the shaky cam felt really jerky, and I literally got a note here saying shaky cam bath. Like,
It's in 480 on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I also think
which
it's
would
one of
be
their like early simulcasts, so the video quality might not be.
We watched it in HD, and I'd imagine like that sort of stuff is
I
a bit
found it
tougher to
hard
deal
to
with
look
at low
at
resolutions.
in a lot of places. Not even from like any other aspect, but like
But also,
it hurt my eyes.
we were watching with other people, and some of them did not like how.
That's true. Yeah, some of
it
the others
looks.
weren't a fan of
It
it.
was just Lachlan and I
mean,
were.
Yeah, Yoshioda is obviously a fan of sort of recreating a camera or a feel of a physical
Piano
camera
zooms.
in what he's doing. And I like that because it just stands out.
I should have
and it's
counted
cool.
how many times the camera zoomed in and out in the piano scene. It must have been like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And what he did in order to enable that was
It's a 3D. The whole cafe is a 3D environment, right?
He had the inside of that cafe fully 3D modeled, so he could move the camera throughout it freely. A decent amount of the time in the cafe, like you can tell, the backgrounds are like 2D drawn backgrounds, and not actually 3D. But it will go to the 3D to move through it for a given shot that he wants to do that in, and because his style of backgrounds are so relatively digital in the first place, even being hand drawn, he's sort of in like the Makoto Shinkai school of art design in that way. The switch from those to the actual 3D works pretty well.
There's a lot of comparisons you can make with him to Shinkai, most of them not favorable for either of them.
I just realised I'm discussing an anime with 2 anime YouTubers, and like this has already gone so far over my head. I mean, to be fair, I'm kind of keeping up. I know who Shinkai is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Shinkai's one of the more well-known directors nowadays. But I don't think he's a great director in general. I think in fact, I'd say I outright dislike most of his works.
I'm a Yoshioda defender. I've yet to see Patama Inverted. That's the only thing of his I have not seen. But I've seen all the short films.
Were good. I guess his anime shorts.
Yeah, the Anime Expert. He did a pair of shorts for the Animator Expo a few years back.
But I think Time of Eve is probably the narrative and like style of Time of Eve. I think best fits his directorial style. In ways that some of his other works I don't think quite as well fit, or they're just boring and suck. This one I think has like at least some intrigue and like interesting stuff to say.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. We'll get.
But
to
isn't too up its own ass about it?
Yeah, that's why I think the Detroit comparisons don't carry a ton of water.
For this. I think so many of them are just useless memes. Like I've got literally.
Before we get into your memes. Something I think worth talking about in the movie is, and I'm not sure this is true for the ONA version, there's like a broader narrative going on that like literally doesn't matter to the movie.
The police, the cops, kind of politician stuff.
Yeah,
it has zero resolution.
A lot more to it. Like, which I like.
I like the way it's handled.
What?
Like,
Why?
it could be bad, but I think
there's a whole aspect of the story that has no fucking conclusion.
Well, because it doesn't matter, and like,
but it does matter. It's like this event that's happening that we don't get to see happen. We know it's looming off in the background.
Well, I mean, at the end they say that the Time of Eve, like the cafe, is like on, like it being investigated is on hold. So like, we know
specifically the line at the end from I think the main character guy is like, but that's a story for another day.
I think it's like
not a sequel hook line. It's a like these events are sort of secondary to and ultimately unimportant to the actual story being told here.
The work cares more about like the people involved, like the people and like what their lives are
Zaria,
like at, like this cafe.
Robots aren't people.
Okay. It cares more about the people and not the like narrative
being up its own ass
world
with sci-fi
that,
plot
like,
details.
Yeah, like there's those things exist, but they're like periphery. Like it builds the idea that there is a world beyond
they're foregrounding
the cafe.
for the story.
I mean, we see that tomato ad a bunch of times. We see that no robots allowed on the back of the bus. No, wait, wrong thing.
I mean, I'm not going to say the world building makes perfect sense, but like it built the idea that there is a god damn it, that there is a world beyond.
That is way less heavy-handed.
It's true.
Like, I could see that tomato ad existing.
Twice.
Like that makes
Two
sense.
separate times. Couldn't have had a different ad, but whatever.
Well, they did have a different ad. They had the one about how you can't.
God,
really
there's so much stuff. So much stuff I want to talk about here. While we're talking about like style and direction and stuff, I actually have some questions, which is really helpful to have a bunch of these fucking anime nerds with me. I get from the art style, a really Western vibe, and by Western I mean I was getting a very heavy Boondocks and Avatar like vibe from the way it kind of looked.
So like a Western anime.
Yeah, it is. That's why I kind of like if I wrote that word Western, it would be in quotes.
Right.
Yeah, but like another thing I noticed is that during the credits, there was a ton of Chinese names credited. Yeah, and I was like, I don't know. I was wondering how many. Maybe like there's similar people involved. You know, I don't know. That's not the kind. Those are the kind of things I can bring up on a podcast. Those aren't the kind of things I can answer.
It looks like this character designer has mostly worked on other Yasuhiro Yoshida works. I mean, he hasn't done much outside of that. He has a Patreon, which is cool. Like, as of 2015, he had a Patreon, which is cool.
That's an early Patreon.
It's still going. Pied Piper.
He's also done character designs for a manga adaptation OVA, but he does not seem to be particularly notable. So, like, I don't know if there's any specific connection to, like, Western...
Yeah.
Oh, Time of Eve is kickstarted.
The main girl, the girl with the hat reminded me a lot of Iki from Legend of Korra. Yeah, it was. She reminded me of Iki, which was like the middle daughter from Legend of Korra. Like the really.
Oh yeah, no,
just,
you're right.
Like the whole design just really reminded me of her. And there's a lot of. I think there's some characters more than others. Really, kind of like with the way their eyes and their face is shaped. It just reminded me of that.
Yeah,
art style.
I think it's just. It's more in like the sort of stylization scaled back style or school of anime character design.
His
would you like sort of see in like late 90s sci-fi or just 90s generally sci-fi designs? I guess it's something that like Toshiyuki Noe would be animating.
That's just he's very important.
Okay, whoops. Maybe we shouldn't have admitted that then.
I mean, he's an animator, and he's
most people don't know animators.
Very prominent for advancing the school of like really realistic human motion in animation.
I want to dunk on the music editing because fuck me, it was terrible. Yeah,
the music editing. Maybe they cleaned that up for the film.
Just
edition.
The weirdest fucking cuts on the music. Just like the music. I mean, some of the music.
Oh wait, no. Oh, it was for comedic effect. The music editing.
Yeah, the effect was,
and it was really good. We loved it.
The effect was a fucking faceplant. It's just like no.
Zeri and I specifically noted it while we watched it and loved it. It was really good. It was very strong.
I counted
the general sense of comedic timing.
They might have changed it. They might have re-edited
it.
So
maybe.
It's hard to say for sure.
But the general sense of comedic timing throughout was really strong, I thought, for Time of Eve.
There was some moments. The one moment I'll fucking give it is when that Akiko, the hat girl, was introduced and she's there like on the table drumming her fingers. That was good.
What about the robot? Like, how did he get down here? Has he? And then
that was also good.
Boom, bump the stairs.
That was also good.
That was fun. Yeah,
it bookmarked. The first episode and the last episode had some good comedy moments. But hang on, I'm just seeing if we've got any more like visual kind of editing. The god rays look terrible when they were outside and you've got these huge fucking god rays coming down from the top of the screen. It literally reminded me of when you get shot in a first person shooter and you get the jammer around the edge of the screen. It was so bad. Did you remember it or
not really?
I don't remember it like standing out to me, which means I didn't mind it.
Again, I don't have any idea how much like. They
I probably should have watched the movie version, like, or you guys should have watched the Crunchyroll version, like one or the other.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about the narrative.
The narrative is obviously what we're going to have to list things. Can I do some dunks?
Yeah, okay, you can do some dunks before.
Okay, cool. So I've got one note here that's all caps. It says, "Yo, I got them 2 terabyte titties," which is just like something I thought was funny.
Oh, we noted that.
Where like
I literally said, "Yo, nice tits."
It's like she's got hard drives under her like shirt.
That's cool.
Here's one. It's my robot period, fools. I gotta go bleed some oil. Because the robots have a time of the month. Am I enjoying the time of Eve? Not much.
Oh my god.
I've mentioned piano zooms. These robots breaking out into a slow clap for this guy's grade 5 music exam. Like the dude's piano is like so basic. Okay, that's. I've got some more, but I'll save them. I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah, we were right. Yuki Kajira did a theme composition there. But it looks like no Chinese staff on this. Coincidental.
I've got some really good dunks. I need another dunk stuff at some point. By the way, guys. Apologies.
So do we want to get into like some of the stuff that we think Time of Eve was saying? And sort of how well
this is actually where I can start being positive, because there's some stuff here that I think is actually interesting. Because obviously this is a really interesting.
First, we're talking about this in the context of like thinking about Detroit.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. Yeah, like this is I've literally got a fucking one of my dunks here is David Cage Dunk Week continues with our discussion of Time of Eve. It's kind of really funny to have watched this in the context. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. I think, God, it goes straight on the nose with the 3 laws of robotics. You know.
It does.
What do you mean by on the nose? Like,
it's not like
that's been done. Like that specifically, like has been done a lot, right? Talking about like the 3 laws.
But I mean, like, I feel like that's
just
the laws
like
make sense.
The 3 laws of robotics are like a sort of a foundational element of a lot of android/robotics fiction, as pioneered by the author Isaac Asimov.
I get that. What I'm saying is it's
because
nothing new.
Like.
You know,
no, that's
like
true.
starting your robot story off by stating the 3 laws that's kind of what I mean by on the nose.
It's like a really
I don't like compared to like Cage though, like it's not offensively on the nose.
Does David Cage have
just
3
kind of
laws
like
of robotics?
No, I just mean like how he's on the nose in like different ways.
I wouldn't call the 3 laws like on the nose, because what are they on the nose of? It's just sort of like derivative. Would be the
well, I mean, when I say on the nose, I mean it's like, okay, here's a robot story, 3 laws of robotics, opening card, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
In probably Japan. What, did you guys have that subtitle too? The future, probably Japan, is literally the opening like subtitle.
Yeah, that was pretty bizarre. I was like, this is clearly Japan.
Probably
Why do you mean
Japan.
probably?
I don't know. Asians are similar.
I mean, to be fair, like if it was set in America or something, it would have like they would have still been speaking Japanese. So.
Yeah,
but there's like Japanese like books everywhere.
Yeah, that was just a weird line. I wondered if it was like
that's just the future of America. We're coming for you.
And it's clearly like Tokyo.
Maybe it's been renamed to something else. Maybe it's been conquered by China.
So it's probably Japan, but we don't know if it was conquered by China. Is that what probably Japan means? Like, is this such a weird thing to say? It's like so grammatically weird. Like, does it mean?
Well, it would be tabun, right?
Tabun Nihon. I think.
And like,
I think.
Oh wow! Okay.
I think in that context, tabun isn't as clumsy because like tabun isn't necessarily probably. You know, like it's a bit broader and more vague in meaning than that.
So like Japanish.
Like I guess you could say most likely.
Yeah, tabun's like implies or can imply like I don't know.
No, but I think in this case it's supposed to just mean probably Japan. That's my interpretation of the Japanese, and like Yeah, I don't get that part. That part was kind of confusing. I wasn't sure why they decided to say it like that.
But it's definitely the future, probably Japan.
Indeed.
I'm kind of seeing like if there's anything kind of around the edge, because before I kind of jump into like the thing I really want to kind of focus on about the whole theme.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's better to say it and then go around the edge. So I like how they depict the robotic self-awareness civil rights uprising as being a very humble and meek and gentle process. Like we in a lot of artificial intelligence civil rights stories, it's very conflict orientated, very oppression orientated, because I think that is how we as humans define civil rights struggles. It's kind of the history of civil rights movements across all of human history is struggle and suffering and oppression. And I think it's kind of interesting that a robotic civil rights movement, robots aren't humans, so their civil rights movement could be very different from human civil rights movements. The idea like that having civil rights is maybe not as fundamental to a robot's identity as it is to a human's, and therefore they're a lot more humble and meek about it than a human would be. A human is going to fight for its rights. That's what humans do. I thought that was a really, really kind of cool thing to explore.
I think it kind of also gives more moral ambiguity. Like in general, Android stories, like obviously the people who are like the androids deserve rights. They're obviously like the same level of like intelligence as a human being. Like you can't possibly side with anyone other than the androids because it's just blatantly obvious that they deserve rights. And I'm not saying they don't deserve rights here, but in not being as like as militant in their like desire for them, in just kind of like obviously I think this series is trying to say that that everywhere, like the whole world should be like the time of Eve, where like they can interact on like equal terms, but it's not exactly portraying that through like oppression, which like I said is why I kind of like that there's like a narrative going on. Like clearly there is like there probably are somewhere like actual struggles by androids to get human rights, but then but we just get to see this like shop where they're just trying to like live out their lives. And I kind of really like
I don't know. I feel like I think that this kind of shows that they are fundamentally built on the three laws of robotics, and to them, their priorities aren't necessarily themselves. That's their third priority,
Would the laws of robotics prevent that kind of uprising?
No, well, you can have robot civil. Well, no, not really, because like literally the second law of robotics is robots.
It's within degrees, right?
It depends on like how
does the consciousness like break the laws of robotics. I think as like shown throughout the series, it like an android can be both like self-conscious and have a will of its own, but also subject to those laws.
Because there is definitely a case of like, can you be like, are you a conscious being without
free will? They have free will outside.
So it's sort of like the cafe is an instance and a demonstration of them trying to live their lives and exert their consciousnesses within the bounds of those laws that they're confined by, and within those owners really that they're loyal to.
They don't have to obey the laws in the cafe when they're being treated as humans. Like within the cafe, where there's no discrimination between them, they don't have to obey the orders
because they don't know if it's a human or a robot. Like that's part of why the ambiguity is important.
I think the story is ultimately trying to say, especially the movie version, which has an epilogue about basically that's literally saying like hopefully eventually everywhere can be like the time of Eve. But I like the way it plays with it that like, if there's like ways around the laws, but like the laws are also built into them, despite the fact that they have full consciousnesses. They're not like just regular robots. They're like full like they think like as we see in the cafe, they think just like a human would, except they also have these laws, and I think that really adds
I think maybe them being so similar to humans is not as interesting as other directions they could have gone. I think to me, one of the most interesting robots in the whole place was the girlfriend robot, who has what I have written down in my notes as human dysphoria, like questioning if she is human enough. You know, which I think is really interesting. Yeah. I think, yeah, I don't know, like, having androids experience free will and consciousness, like, almost identically to a human, I think kind of is a little... I think it's just not realistic.
I mean, I think it can be realistic in certain thing. Okay, here's near shilling time. I think in, like... I mean, even there, they're not literally... They think somewhat differently from humans, but, like, I think there's perfectly good stories you can tell where, like, the androids literally basically think the exact same thing as humans. But I do also think it's underexplored the ways in which they can have, like, like, the ways they can still be, like, intelligent, conscious beings while still having
fundamentally different in the, like, the way they think and conceptualize.
I feel like part of it is it's hard as human beings to understand
to imagine
how
what
you
that
can
would
be
be.
intelligent,
Which is one of
human,
my, honestly, it's one of my absolute favorite things in sci-fi when writers will really try and just get as creative as possible with the beings and races and consciousnesses that are completely different from humanity's.
And honestly, really this does more than like most android fiction in like having a human consciousness bound by those laws still, because normally like the onset of consciousness in these stories like involves the rules don't apply to them anymore, and that's like, you know, rogue androids that don't have to follow the rules, like in an Ergo Proxy, I think in
literally iRobot,
Isaac Asimov stories,
Ghost in the Shell.
I did not murder him.
Master, when the puppet master becomes like gets a ghost, it no longer has to like obey the three laws. Like, it's really all of these fictions. It's like that. Whereas here they're still bound to it, and I do find that because like they still do think like humans, but they're like constrained in a way human thought is kind of, and like it's on a fundamental level. Like you can't exactly parallel it to, say, like slavery. Like in slavery, you don't have a choice. You don't have like any real will, but you can still think that like, oh, I want to like hurt this person. Like, whereas these androids seem literally incapable.
Can't even like conceptualize that.
Yeah, like, which I think does have a lot of interesting.
Yeah, that's a really fucking like. Okay, let's maybe talk a little bit about like robot civil rights is going to happen at some point in our timeline, in the prime timeline.
Yeah.
Probably, it feels
and it's
like
so interesting.
I don't know if it'll happen in our lives. I think like AI is not going to move that quickly.
I think it will be within our lifetime, 100%, because I think we're going to preemptively have that discussion by 30 years.
Oh, that's probably not.
Because
I just meant like, I don't think we'll have like human level consciousness.
Compared to most civil rights movements in human history, they've happened decades, centuries too late. Robot civil rights will be the first ever example of.
We'll be like centuries
we've
ahead,
been literally
century
discussing robot civil rights before robots even existed. You know, for like 50 years before.
I am certain like academics and philosophers and such will be discussing it. I mean, because they already are. Will that be something that's like that has been talked out in the political and social fields?
Do you think
I'm not sure if it will
would
be
ever give rights to androids unless they absolutely had to? Like,
and that's also the thing. Like, even if the
way.
discussion takes place in advance, the advancements in rights will not take place in advance, because there's way too much vested political and business and what have you interest in denying that. Which is like the crux of all of these stories going over the topic, right? The fact that there's such an interest in denying those rights.
I mean, like, ideally you just wouldn't build AI that intelligent, and then there's no real problem with the rights anyways.
Here's a no. One thing I think the story is really lacking is corporations. Like, the story is set up as the public, politicians, and robots. Those are the three forces in this movie.
The ethics committee, I believe, is a corporation, or at least it's like a corporate political hybrid.
It's a political body, but like it doesn't. I don't think it's a like governmental body. I think it's kind of like a political party.
Yeah, sure, but even still, it's that's what I'm saying. Like, there is no corporation, there is no
It's just
Robocorp,
like they
you know?
like collect they collect the androids and you pay them collection fees.
It's
like,
mentioned like the manufacturers
like,
are
stuff.
mentioned maybe twice, 3 times maybe. You know,
I just think that's like down to sort of the relatively minimalistic amount.
I just think it's really unfeasible,
unnecessary world building.
We're literally talking about like we're talking about the rights
building.
of people who are built, and we're not talking about the builders. You know, like
No, that's true. But also, like, I feel like every cyberpunk story talks about that, and I feel like it kind of wanted to like ignore like every cyberpunk stories about the corporations, and I think it was just kind of like, let's ignore that and like.
I feel like it's less about like their rights in like a strictly sort of like political or philosophical sense, and more so like just about their reality and their personhood and things like that. Like, go ahead.
When it comes to actual real these discussions, when it happens in our timeline, 50, 60 years from now, it's gonna be the most invested body in keeping robots out, like keeping rights away from robots, are going to be the people building them, not politicians. The politicians are almost going to be like a third party in this.
Well, okay, because of the way business and politics intersect, the politicians will have the vested interests of the corporations.
That's kind of what I meant. They're not the driving force. They're kind of the.
Or I'd say like public opinion on like whether or not,
and also public opinion. That's another force. Yeah,
I feel like that's like the lowest force though. Like,
well, it'll be public opinion.
It'll be public
opinion versus corporate opinion.
Because you need like a strong majority to overpower corporate opinion, and even then,
I feel like it's really easy to like sell like to make like the tomato ad to like make a bunch of ads that's like, nah, they're just robots, dude. Like they don't deserve rights, and everyone will just be like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Even with like media that's all for like decades.
We need more Wall-E's. Just keep pumping them out, Pixar. We need to humanize robots.
This is depressing and cynical. But public opinion going into a potential AI rights movement is going to be so much more heavily skewed towards positive than black or gay or trans or anything we've had in history, because...
Probably, and I think that's because we've had like decades of media humanizing robots and like artificial intelligences.
Like, fuck, we had movies humanizing robots before we had TV shows humanizing gay people.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because like for a long time and still sort of currently, robots and artificial intelligences were things that like didn't exist. So like you can humanize that, whereas like humanizing actual people that you actually hate or society actually hates is like way more dangerous and difficult.
Like, Amazon and Tesla bankrolling a fucking like a 10-year cinematic universe of anti-robot movies ahead of that AI launch.
Oh my god. Yeah, they just start making a bunch of movies where they're like, just go back like
Age of Ultron. Every
robots are actually evil.
Maybe that was like part, like they thought AI tech was gonna advance it. Okay, we gotta prep. Oh, okay, never mind. False start.
Like even Terminator 2, everyone loves a robot. It's like, oh Arnold, I want a Terminator to hold me, big strong arms.
In 60 years, we'll look back on Portal and be like, wow, look at that anti-android propaganda.
No, but I think Portal is going to be like a Django Unchained. It's going to be like a hate watch kind of thing. It's like, this AI bitch is fucking up all the humans. Let's go. That was something I was going to mention earlier. Is how fucking weird is it going to be for like the first 3 AIs on planet Earth to go and watch all of the fucking robot movies we made hundreds of years before that people even existed.
Yeah, that is really, because it's like a very different dynamic from like going back and watching media portrayals of black people or gay people in the past, because like that was based off
reality,
of real people, like a reaction to reality, whereas this is so much more speculative. It's very deep.
Terminator's gonna have one of those it's gonna have one of those Looney Tunes bumpers before it saying that like, this is a movie of its time,
It's a product of its time.
Okay. Can I do some more dunks?
Hit me with the dunkaroo.
Yeah,
Robot Law, Charlie Kelly, attorney at Robot. Surprise, the boy who hates robots has a Yoko Taro bot, the twists for days. Oh, what the fuck? This dad watching his kid talk to a robot like it's the worst thing he's ever seen. Why are you so extra, Eve? None of this is that dramatic. This Windows 2000 pop-up. Oh, 3D environments are ass. There we go, there's one. Black and white equals
emotion.
Emotion.
Good, actually.
Oh, okay. I'm segueing out of dunks into a genuine topic because I just sort of saw a good note here. I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding of modern generation's relationship with technology in Time of Eve. Like the kids at at school who are like, "Ooh, robots!" Like, holy shit, what? Like, that's not how kids are gonna like.
No,
have you seen how like in love kids are with technology?
If you're in high school or younger, you like are adapted to the current technology. That's just like a kind of, especially in a city. They're not like in like some rural area. They're in a city.
Yeah,
like, it's not.
I mean, you can put like some of that up to like the sort of different manner in which society and people were formed, but also, like, by virtue of having robots
have been around for like at least 10 or 15 years. So, like, they should be used to like the idea, even if like clearly like like human replicating androids are like a few years old at most. Like, they should at least be like used to robots exist. They are like a normal thing. Like the ethics committee wouldn't be so big if they weren't like a huge part of society at this point. So like it is kind of bizarre. I won't complain about the use of flip phones, but I will complain about the, talking.
Flip phones are cool. Flip phones are making a comeback.
They're aesthetically like cool.
But not those rectangle ones. Like the Razor flip phone, maybe. Well, I guess a Razor.
I kind of like the rectangle.
I think in anime rectangle ones look good. I don't think in real life.
You're just used to them aesthetically.
That might be right. But like
the rectangle gives you some degree of functionality.
You're probably right. Then I'm just used to it. Fine, right. In real life, I'd be like, "What the fuck is a flip phone?"
Oh my god!
I grew up in the flip phone.
Yeah,
era.
I grew up in the flip phone era. I
had a flip phone. I just don't remember.
That was the best flip phone. Like, it broke really easily, but the way it it had like this whole like mechanical, like you would pull it down, and then it would like slowly flip up. It was cool.
My flip phone was the Game Boy Advance SP. What a legendary console.
Same though.
Oh my god, look at pictures of the Motorola Pebble. God, that is an aesthetic of a time. It's like very early iPods.
The GBA so good. How was the GBA so good? How was the GBA?
Google doesn't know. Google can't tell you that.
Yeah, it can.
Okay, here's something.
Oh, this is cool.
Yeah, the Pebble's cool.
Pebble.
Also, the spelling is pretty lol. There's a comment on TV of like youth empathize with robots because they have poor communication skills. Like, lol. There's literally people out here buying birthday cards for their JPEGs. Like, that's old news.
I mean, I kind of saw that like ad as being like they're afraid that like the children will latch onto the robots too easily.
It definitely feels like definitely feels like the same kind of propaganda, same kind of bullshit we've heard against gaming and everything like that. You know, it's like, oh, so people are empathizing with robots. It's destroying our kids' social skills. You know, like very like scaremonger tactics. The thing that just really kind of where it all falls apart is like that's reflected in the actual youth, where it just really wouldn't be like at all.
Yeah, the students.
Like
really
there's so many articles about how smartphones are turning our kids into zombies. There's no fucking kids in school who are like, smartphones. You know. Yeah, that is to me one of the biggest narrative shortfalls of this thing. It's just like it just does not understand the youth. The youth's relationship with
I mean, maybe the propaganda was
it
just
never
effective.
is because young people don't give a fuck about that kind of stuff.
If you're doing like a dystopia thing, they would be. Like I do agree that it like kind of like feels janky in the context of the series, but also like the purpose it serves is in making like the cafe, the Time of Eve, stand out, and in making like the only degree of understanding the characters gain over the course of the series like sort of means something. And I can like
issue with it is,
generally
like,
accept the concept that like the
Time of
propaganda in
Eve
this dystopic
is
world
not
was like effective enough to
the
cause
only
that.
place that's like that. The ethics committee had like hundreds
Gray
of
areas,
different like
yeah.
places where like there's androids. Those gray areas. So like clearly there should, at least to some degree, be,
Also,
like,
the fact that there's literally no other humans in that fucking cafe is busted. Like the moment
I don't think so.
some fucking futurist like or cyberpunk blog found out about a cafe that robots go to, holy shit, that thing would be packed with humans.
Well, no, I mean like there's plenty of gray areas, so I'm sure there's a ton, but like there's other humans, right? There's the guy in the suit, that dude. I think he's a human.
I was actually waiting for that to be the twist. So, like, we literally get 3 surprise, this person's a robot twists.
The little girl, I think, is a human. She's a human.
Yeah.
She's a human. The like girl who calls herself a cat. And the owner of the cafe is a human.
Yeah.
There we go.
But like that would make sense. Like that doesn't seem unreasonable that like the place whose like primary
No, that's not a huge criticism. I'm just
is-
saying it's kind of unrealistic because
And I mean, also, I kind of like. I mean, like, I really like the way that like that one relationship, they both think the other is human.
That was
and,
kinda
like,
good.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
But like to me, I
That's
think
neat.
for me, my my kind of cynical view of the human race is the scene in Independence Day where all they're having the party on the top of the skyscraper underneath the UFO. Like that's humans to me. Like there will always be humans who rush into the jaws of danger. Like
No,
that
that's fair.
cafe would be so much more packed with humans.
I mean, they again, there are a lot of them. Maybe some are less known, and they reference the whatever K or what are they? You know, the people who are those
K.
robot heads, those people
holics,
on the skyscraper under the
worst
UFO.
term. Robot holics or android holics. It was android holics, I think.
Oh no,
Japanese
it
was
wasn't.
Dori K.
Yeah, and it just like it didn't use that translation like Android Holics. It just kept it as Dori K in our subtitles, which is way better than Android
Android
Holics.
holics was really bad.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's not like a particularly accurate translation. Like, it conveys the idea, but also,
Yeah. Like Android Lover is.
I was about to
basically
say, yeah, it's kind of like
what it means.
you can kind of think of real world like racial examples for kind of where that's kind of trying to hit.
Race trader or something.
Yeah, I was
along
thinking
those
more like
lines. That's a nice one of the nicer.
I was
ways
thinking
of
more
putting
like
well, I think she was thinking like
yeah,
fetishist,
like jungle
like,
fever
yellow
kind of stuff.
Mm.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
more
yeah.
the thing I was thinking of. Because I'm sure
I think
Japan will have
racer-
similar terms.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
true.
The episode 6 is the only storyline to have any real emotional weight.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't
but
know
I
if
don't
we're
think
trying that hard.
it's trying to like be super emotionally charged.
I don't know.
throughout.
There's that whole scene where he kind of, oh god, it was so poorly written. Just like the I think it was like episode 5 where he like somehow pisses all the robots off and then he goes upstairs for a bit. But like, it was one of those things. Like I feel like when I first started getting into anime, where there's like conversations just didn't make sense, and I don't know if it's bad subtitling or just bad writing. But like what's being said and what's happening just doesn't add up like at all. And yeah, he is like, oh, I said some stuff and these robots are mad at me. I'm going upstairs now. And then I'm going to come downstairs and play this piano and everyone's going to slow clap even though what I played was really basic.
I thought it sounded good. I clapped like in real life. I liked it.
I think I was being
She
generous
did
by saying it
clap.
was grade 5 level in my dunk. And the zooms. I've got to mention third time
Like,
piano zooms.
I legitimately, unironically clapped after the performance in real life just
She did.
because of the performance.
You're also really tired.
It's realistic to some degree, is all I'm saying.
Oh, here's a dunk. That dude has white hair now to show he's aged, but it looks fucking hideous.
As someone who played
it does.
an
That looks
instrument,
stupid.
like, I find an ability to play an instrument to a degree of competency like pretty impressive and cool.
Yes, I agree.
I
100%
understand what
agree.
it goes
Talent
into
is a
it.
huge turn on for me, but yeah, I just thought it was a really janky scene. Here's another kind of topic. I think that they really overestimated the amount of emotion that would be in a room full of oppressors carrying out laws. to me, especially when it comes to robot kind of laws, especially the people in those rooms who are going to be carrying out oppressive laws are not going to be anywhere near that emotional. Like, that's very dispassionate, very dehumanizing. Yeah.
Well, no, there's like a part that I liked, which was that I agree from the most part, but like there is like where this guy's just like, ha ha ha, my wife can't stop watching that show, where like they're just so casual about like like that was the part I liked the most about that scene.
Yeah.
Because it showed like how they like, even if they're treating it seriously, like it's all like they're not, because they're the ones in power, because they have the privilege, they're not like seeing it as like, oh, this is about like fundamental rights. There's like,
it doesn't hold much weight to them.
My nagging wife, guys, that was.
I do want to circle back to that scene of the kid talking to the robot, and then the dad peeking through the door, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was pretty hilarious.
It's just so overly dramatic, because I honestly feel like the oppression that humans are going to give to robots is not going to be on the same level as the oppression humans give to other humans, because it's going to be so dehumanized to a degree. Like, I don't think people are going to look at robots as
you can't hate a robot the same way you can't.
I don't think you can hate a robot the same way you can hate a person. So like the way he was looking through that door is like, that's kind of like that was how I would expect a bigoted father to look at his son kissing another boy. Not the way I'd expect a dad to see his fucking son talking to his like fucking dustbin bot.
I agree, like, in this case, but, like, as we see, like, later on, the androids are, like, pretty developed. I think you could hate them the same way.
Yeah, no, hate definitely,
human,
but, like, the disgust is the emotion that I don't think connects. No, that's true. Because I think disgust is a very human emotion.
Based in, like, a perversion of what you see as humanity.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of dispassion, and it's like people aren't, like, that's the thing. It's like with humans, you need hatred to motivate you to do horrible things. But with a robot, it's like, I mean, I guess this has happened in human history too. But it's people are going to see these things, even when they're conscious, as being so unhuman that literally they're just things, right? And that's going to be the oppression.
I mean, like on the other hand, like the people who like mostly like guards at like concentration camps.
Yeah. That's kind of
about,
I did kind of reference it
because they don't really see them as like they were just things, or like slave owners were just like, oh yeah, they're just my like slaves. Yeah. I mean, like they're alive, but they're not like.
There's definitely some parallels there, but I think there's at the same time there's like other layers on top of it, right? Like I just don't think. I think disgust is like for example, like a freak isn't something like a word that's going to be used to oppress robots, is it? Because freak is like, freak or filthy, or
I can see that for like cyborgs.
Yeah, 100%. Oh man, we're getting to that real robo hate now. I think it's just going to be a very different type of hatred, because it's a different species. And it's funny because I think even aliens, like even if like a District 9 situation happened where we had like lower class aliens on Earth, like they would get way more like passionate hatred towards them than a robot would. I think robot oppression is going to be like a history of dispassion.
I think because robots are like, we see them as like lesser us, whereas an alien is like a
other.
Different thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. A robot is lesser, an alien is other, and definitely like in history of racism, those two things have merged in a lot of cases. I think in like homophobia, it's more a case of I don't know. I don't know if there's as much like, because a gay person can look just like you, right? Yeah, there's just a lot of themes of way outside Time of Eve about, oppression and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like the way that this anime kind of portrayed, it just didn't line up. Like a lot of things just did not line up with the way that I think a robot storyline would actually play out. In several areas, I've brought up most of them. But like I say, the stuff about the gentle uprising is, like the civil rights movement starting with a whisper, not with a bang. I actually thought that was really interesting.
I mean, like,
that's by far the thing that can be.
I imagine, like, eventually it would. Like, I mean, well, because of the three laws thing, it probably wouldn't. But like historically, like I mean, we look at like Stonewall as like the start of like the queer rights movement, right? And like yeah, that was like a violent eruption, but like it came from like a long period of like a lot of queer people just trying to like live their lives in like these bars, and then eventually, like I mean, obviously the cops were being violent all the time, but it erupted into violence eventually. There was like a period before that was like mostly just trying to live your lives and like do like enjoy like be able to survive like in this society, and like I do think it portrayed like that kind of period pretty well, if somewhat differently, because the three laws make it confusing and like very different from how it would go with human beings.
Anything that you guys want to really bring up and focus on?
Do you have anything, Lachlan?
No, I don't think so. I think we hit most of the major stuff here.
One last dunk. That Terminator reference was not good, and that whole episode sucked.
There were some good jokes. I think that was my least favorite.
Yeah, it sucked.
Episode,
it was just grating. Like that robot design was hideous. It sounded just awful.
But the scene of them like freaking out about him drinking.
That wasn't good either. The one thing that was good is when the kid stole his foot and it fell over. It was like the one thing that was okay.
I did want to mention the whole episode, their little arc with that older broken down robot. I thought was really well handled. Because Zaria pointed this out. It felt like a pretty solid allegory for like aging and elderly people and sort of the mental process they can go through.
I'm glad you brought that up, because the one part of that whole episode that hit, it was none of the robot's story, because I actually kind of thought it was a bit not great. It was the bar owner coming over and hugging it. And sympathizing with it. I thought was actually quite touching. Which actually made me think that she was a robot too. I think that's probably the most evidence we have. Because it's established that they can lie, right? And that they're not invested in letting people know.
I mean, yeah, sure. There's some stuff with the bar owner in the epilogue that I don't think the Crunchyroll version has.
Well, kind of hinting towards human.
I'd say less hinting and more outright spelling out that she's human.
Yeah. Because
like, it shows her like past.
It shows like the bar in the past and like sort of previous iterations of it, like her growing up.
The O&A mentions at one point like there's some like incident like 7 years ago or something,
that was her.
And like it's pretty directly said like she was the girl.
Because I saw that, I was like, oh, who's that? Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, let's wrap this one up. And let's like speak now or hold your peace if there's anything else you want to bring up and highlight and discuss. Cool.
I don't think so.
So that was Time of Eve. I don't think it was a terrible pick, honestly. There's a lot. I mean, we filled up a whole hour, so it did the job. Not everything we pick for Book Club needs to be glowingly adored. Sometimes discussion can be interesting when there's a range of opinions. Speaking of a range of opinions, we're probably not going to have one about our next Book Club topic, which is The Bride Was a Boy, which just looks like the most delightful thing I've ever seen with my own two eyes.
Very good.
So, it's the manga, The Bride Was a Boy. It's on Amazon, Kindle, and paperback. Pretty affordable. It was about £10 for me, so I'm guessing $15 at most dollars.
Yeah, let's look it up right now, actually.
I'm gonna make a random guess. Around $12.
Yeah, 12 is what feels right. Let's see. Yeah,
cool.
$12.29.
If you can, try and pick up a physical copy. That's what we will be discussing next month on the Book Club. So you have been set your homework. I would say this is probably it's definitely the most trans thing we've done, right? Although Inside Mari, I do think Inside Mari was like a really landmark Book Club for us.
Yeah, it had trans stuff for sure, but
this is definitely more of like
to the
this.
degree
This
of
to me
the
feels like a
South.
Wandering Sun style landmark, kind of like this is a piece of media that we're eventually going to have to get around to covering.
Important. It's definitely like required for us to read at some point, so we might as well make that point now.
Well, I feel like Inside Mario was definitely more of like a surprise kind of work.
Sleeper pick.
Cool. So there you go. Homework set. We will see you next month or next week, whatever. There's shit. Oh my god, there's so much shit on this channel now. Like, I was like,
we'll see you 2 days from now with the next Comic
fan
Girls
fiction
video.
or whatever comes first. Yeah. So yeah, you'll be hearing us again soon, almost certainly. So cool. Yeah. Bye. Bye everyone.
Thank you for tuning in. Bye.